Hello beautiful YouTube, this is a review of the InDesign 2018 new features. Are they in any sort of order? Kind of. I put them in the order that I think are most useful for people, but that is totally subjective. Please leave me a comment to let me know what you love, what you didn't like about any of these features. I'm interested to know. Now, is this a fundamental change in InDesign? No. You're probably going to open it and not see any difference. The feature upgrades are really for people who are daily users, InDesign grinders. It's not to say the features aren't amazing, but if you're a new user, you're probably not going to be blown away right now. But if you are, like me, a daily user, you'll love some of these features. And if you do like this video, check out my website, bringyourownlaptop.com. I've got a course for intro people called InDesign Essentials and an advanced one, InDesign Advanced, for you pros that are really good already and you want to go a bit faster. So check that out on bringyourownlaptop.com. All right, let's jump in. All right, so the first and most exciting for me, it's not a huge upgrade, but it's a huge new feature. Okay, so I've got my character panel open up here. Let's say I pick this font and I want to go through, and I like this font, but I want to find something similar, but maybe I'm looking for something that has a little less, all of these little flourishes, and I guess it's something a little bit stronger. So up here in my fonts, we've got this new option here, this little wavy line. Love this wavy line, shows similar fonts. Somehow magically, InDesign can go through your font list, not just the typekit ones, but all the other ones as well, true type and open type fonts, and somehow finds it in different languages as well. Okay, fonts that are very similar. You can see there's the Lust that I'm using, but you can also see Playfair. You can see that they're really similar fonts. Well done, InDesign. Love this feature. And somehow it works. So similar is amazing, I love it. And they've added an extra feature as well, which is up the top here. I'm gonna turn similar off. And see here it says filter, okay, where it says all classes. They've gone through, and the thing that we all wish we went and did as a designer and gone through all of our fonts and gone and picked all the slab serifs and put them in some sort of order and all the handwriting ones in some sort of order. Somehow, magically, InDesign have done it for us. I love it. Okay, so say I am looking for a slab serif. Okay, I've got all my options in here, and it's just cut down my font list to something a lot more doable rather than doing the fun up and down with the arrow keys trying to find some new fonts to use. All right, I'm just going to pick Museo Slab there. Awesome. So the first but small upgrades to that little font drop down list, it's beautiful. Thank you, InDesign. Next new feature, please. All right, so this next feature's got me pretty excited too. Stand back, it's lines around paragraphs, individual paragraphs. Cool, so let's have a little look. Let's say this first paragraph here, I want a line around the outside. I'm gonna have my cursor flashing inside. I'm gonna go up to this little flyout window here, and I'm gonna find this one here. Paragraph borders and shading. We've always had paragraph shading, but now we've got borders and shading. Okay, and when this first came out in the last version, we're like, shading, awesome. Assuming there would be borders as well. So let's kind of move this over here. And if I turn shading on and preview on, you get this kind of like big colored box behind it. And you're like, when would I ever use that? You might be one of the people who do, okay? But in terms of shading, they've upgraded this if you are using it, okay? I can set the offsets, which I could always do. I could unlink them and use it. People are using it. I've seen people use it a lot like this. So on the right, I'm gonna shrink that down. And they use it like this as like a color coding way of using it like a little bar for a paragraph, okay? Of acknowledging maybe a key to describe different paragraphs. I'm waffling, but I've seen that a really good use of it. Okay, the other thing you can do now, and what you couldn't do before, is I'll turn that back to default, is that you can do corner sizes where you couldn't do before. I can go in here and I can pick rounded corners and I can increase it up a little bit. You can see now I can do rounded corners, and they're all split as well. So I could have them all square, break the link, bottom right, rounded. I'm not sure why I'm doing this, just, yeah. I'm yet to completely shade a paragraph. So let's just turn that off, and then let's look at the new sexy one, border. Okay, so I'm gonna turn borders on, previews on, and there you go, line around the outside. So let's sex it up a little bit, make it a kind of a key line, maybe half a point. I'm gonna offset it down here. Okay, and you can start to see, here we go. I always wanted to do this, maybe for a paragraph. It might be like a factoid, or it might be the recipe, or it might be something unique to what you're doing, just the little, it's in the flow of text, but maybe not directly related to the conversation going on in the text. Little pull out, okay? I'm using it for the first paragraph here. So I've got it offset. You could also add rounded corners. But let's say I do want to do this, I'm just going to change the color, and I can set it as a paragraph style. And because it's getting a bit close to here and here, I'm going to go to my paragraph options and maybe just put a bit of before, a space before, and a little bit of space after. Okay, give it some space, maybe a little bit more. Okay, set it as a paragraph style. In here, new paragraph style. I'm going to call this guy first paragraph. And I want it to be based on no style, keep it all by itself. And then, super easy now, I can click on this guy, cursor flashing, first paragraph. Oh goodness. Now you might have to be a long document nerd to really like that one as much as I do, but I do. And that, my friends, is the enhanced shading panel, but also the new borders. Thank you, Adobe. Thank you, InDesign. Awesome feature. And before we carry on, I just want to remind you on the bringyourownlaptop.com website, go to here, go to resources, and you will find the InDesign cheat sheet. Okay, it's free. Download the PDF version, print it off, stick it next to your computer, be more awesome. Loads of tips and tricks for new people and for seasoned vets, promise. All right, next feature. Okay, so the next upgrade is to do with CC libraries and text going into it. So this is the previous version of InDesign. I could always click, hold, and drag a whole text box in, and that was fine. But when I dragged the text box back out, it was in this kind of format, and I couldn't like just put the pure text in there. Okay, so the new version you can. So let's switch over. So in the newer version, there is an extra option. See this little plus button down here? So I can add this to the library. Whereas before I could add it as a graphic, but I could never add it just as text. So if I add it as text now, I get this new kind of like subcategory in here called text rather than the graphics like I just added before. And why is that cool? It's because I can drag it out now as pure text, click, hold, and drag, and you can see my cursor is loaded, and then I can drag a text box any old size. You'll see it brought through all the formatting that I had, either paragraph styles, or in my case, I just made the font bold. You can override that if you just hold Shift while you're dragging it out. Okay, and then drag it out, you'll see it's whatever your default font is. Okay, the cool thing about this also is that other CC applications like Photoshop and Illustrator can use this raw text, whereas before, when we put it in as a graphic, it just got dumped onto those other applications as like a picture. Okay, now we can use it as pure text and it will bring through all the formatting that you've done in these paragraph styles here. Pretty cool. Okay, and before we move on from CC libraries, this is not new for 2018, but this feature came out during the year, not on one of the major releases, so most people missed it, and it's just up here. So I've got this library here, and I'm working on one called 3D Characters, okay, and I add my type to it, and I can share this. Okay, I've always been able to collaborate, which means I can send it to a colleague. They can add and remove and delete things from my library. Great if you're working in an agency or working with a colleague and you trust them to be able to add and delete stuff from the library. But the new option in here, okay, is this one that says share link. This is what you might send to your client. You might design their logos, dump all their logo options that they might want in here, and they can look at them, they can download them, but they can't adjust them, which is really good. Allows you to kind of send outside the agency, or if you're a freelancer, just send it to clients so they can stop bugging you for stuff. You can just send them the link and say, everything you need is in here, and they can't wreck it. Also note that that link, if they are using the Creative Cloud app, okay, they will have this library, but if they're not, say that's a client and they have no idea what InDesign is or how it works, that link, there is a web version of it as well, so that when they click on it, it'll take them to a little website where they can download them. They don't need the Creative Cloud apps installed. All right, so maybe not 2018, but something that got snuck in there that I think is worth mentioning right here. All right, let's get on to the next feature. Okay, so this next feature is for the super organized InDesign users amongst us. I'm kind of in the middle. Some projects I'm super organized, there's paragraph styles and there's color groups and all sorts of awesomeness. And then other projects, they are a big mess, which I always regret later. But let's say we've got our super organized hat on and we're using our swatches panel and we're working with a client. It's green at heart, that's what all these colors are. And you could select them all and you could put them in a color group. So that came out in an earlier version of InDesign. You might not be using this, okay? If you aren't, it's a really cool feature. It just means that I can put all my clients into little groups, okay? So that I've got all their Pantone and CMYK and RGB swatches in nice little groups. I can even do it with these default colors here. Select all these guys and these are my default colors. Super organized. But what you couldn't do in the last version, 2017, is you couldn't have gradient versions. This guy had to hang out here by himself, and which made the color groups not as useful as they could be. But now, magic, drag it in there, and they're part of the color groups, which was totally not possible a week ago with the older version. Just as a little side note, if you are like me and you have got a few different clients you want swatch groups for, and you want to have them there every time you load the program up, you probably already know. I'm going to close down all my projects so that I've got nothing open. Then over here, switch to Essentials even. Okay, and if you go through now, and if I delete these, okay, I don't want to because I'm a trainer and I need them. I go through it and add new swatches, okay, name them, bring them all through. If I do this while nothing is open, that will be my default forever. Okay, whenever I make a new document, I'll have all the swatches ready to go. That's how you change the default swatches in InDesign. You can delete all these guys and they'll be gone forever. But I need these guys, so I'm going to just delete that new one. All right, so the feature is color groups can now have gradients. And if you've never used color groups before, you're welcome. All right, next feature. All right, the next upgrade is to the object styles. So like a paragraph style or a character style, you can, for objects like this, say the color and the drop shadow, I can set it as a style. So set a style, I'm gonna have it selected, go to Window, open up Styles and go to Object Styles. And here I'm gonna make a new style. I'm gonna double click it, give it a name, and this one is going to be called Starburst. Great. So it means that I can go to a different document, I can grab my polygon tool, draw out my starburst. If you're wondering how I got all the spikes, all you do is double click the tool, okay, and you can do number of sides and the start inset. 50 and 10% gives you that kind of like starburst look. Holding shift to get a perfect circle, and I can click starburst. Great, so it gives me the drop shadow. You can't really see the drop shadow there, but it's got the drop shadow on it and it's the right color. And that's all you've been able to do up until now. But now what we can do is I'm going to click off in the background. I'm going to open up my Starburst object style. And in here, there's this one option here. It says style and position options. This is brand new. I want it to be that size as well. And I want to put it exactly on the page. You might be using both of these like I'm going to get it in the right position and the right height, but you might just use size to get it the right size. So now if I draw out a basic shape, okay, and it's black line, wrong size, height and width, it's all wrong. And I click on Starburst now, it's in the right place, it's the right height and width, and it has my traditional object styles. Super cool if you are an object styles user. I need to use them more. Other uses I can think of on the top of my head is say terms and conditions down the bottom, or an asterisk terms and conditions apply, and it needs to be in the footer, and it needs to be X amount of distance from the left and the right. You can do it with a text box as well, not just, I've done mine with a shape, okay, but objects includes text frames. So you can put it in the top, left, right, away from the margin is an option as well, okay, to make sure there's consistency across all documents. And if you're all sharing the same styles using your libraries, you can update it once and it updates across all the documents. X and Y position plus height and width, super awesome. All right, what else we got? Okay, so for the next couple of features, they're more upgrades to existing features, so we'll just talk about them real quick. And if you are one of the people using these specific, quite nichey things, jump out to Adobe and check out more details. But the first one is HTML export. Okay, if you are exporting to EPUB or HTML for web, there is a lot more control for deciding what classes and paragraph styles get converted into classes when you go and export. Another upgrade is EndNotes. If you are using EndNotes, you can now bring them directly in from Word and put EndNotes into tables. There's a few other little features as well to EndNotes that have been upgraded. And also PDF accessibility. There's been some work with that just to make a few of the more hidden objects from master pages more accessible, okay, for potentially the visually impaired when you are exporting for the PDF format. So for all of those ones, if you are using those specifically, check out Adobe for a bit more details. So what I'll do now is I'll show you one last little feature. It's not new for 2018, but most people, even daily users, don't use it or forgot it exists. Let me show you that, and that will be us. So, all right, so this last feature is like a little treat for you. Okay, it's been around for a little while, but most people have either forgotten it existed or have never discovered it. Okay, and it's your present for making it so far through this video. And it's this little option down the bottom here. It splits your view into two. Okay, so it's just the view, so I can click on this side and I can scroll independently from this side. Where it's useful is, say I'm looking on my contents page here, and on this side, I'm gonna jump to page 10, Command J. Okay, and I'm looking at these headings, I'm just double checking everything's right, okay? So you can see working for environments should be on page 10, but it's on page 11. It just gives me a way of being able to see two pages at once rather than having to jump up and down. So that's really cool. The other way I use it is, let's say we're working on the title page here. Okay, I'm gonna jump up on this side to the title page as well. I think it's A. Okay, it means that I can be in this like really super zoomed in version and be playing with things like tracking and something kind of minute, you know. So I'm holding Option on a Mac or Alt on a PC and just kind of tracking this in, playing with my kerning. Okay, and you can see it actually adjusts in this larger scale. You can see they're kind of tied together, so I could select green and I can go through, and actually I'm going to pick the lighter version, and you can see it updates on this side as well. So it's a way of being in close but also far back, or maybe looking at potentially a double page spread. Okay, so Command Option 0 will show you your spread. You can start working across here in a nice kind of zoomed in version. Turn it off again by clicking the same little button, and that is going to be us. So if you like my teaching style, check out bringyourownlaptop.com for my courses. There is an InDesign course for Essentials for beginners, and if you're an advanced user, check out the advanced version of InDesign. There are also lots of other courses for web design, motion graphics, UI and UX design, lots of stuff on there, so check that out. If you thought this video was good, hit like, consider subscribing to my channel as well. Thank you very much. My name is Daniel Walter Scott, and haere rā.